Hey guys, it's Bina, and today I wanted to go over the Frostbite Swarmblade build. So this is not really going to be a full-on build guide. That's going to be covered likely on Max Roll. If I do manage to make the build guide, it's going to be on Max Roll. I just want to do it like a build showcase as to like how the build scales, how it plays, a couple of things, how to itemize it, and if you want to have fun with it, you can absolutely get straight into it without needing like to wait to have the full build guide. So what are we? We are a druid, so a primalist. We are shapeshifting into Swarmblade, just like the lightning bug build, except that we are scaling frostbite damage and we are freezing things instead of doing lightning damage and stunning things. One big thing that goes about this build is that it requires more gear investment to get to the same level of tankiness that the lightning bug has, for example. But you can dish out much more damage. So it does way more damage. It has a much higher ceiling for damage. Like, I would not be surprised to see like over 3 million ticks on the dummy from your Swarmblade ticks, from your Frostbite ticks. So yeah, so in general, I'd say this is probably like a better bosser. You'll kill bosses way faster, but you are way squishier because you need more gear investment, more LP, and good legendary slams to be able to like be as tanky as a lightning Swarmblade. So we'll go over how the build scales, how to build, how you can gear for it, the skills, the passives, everything like that. But keep in mind, this is just a build showcase. It's not like a complete min-max version of it. It's just what you potentially could do. So I'm just going to use what I have at the moment with this. So we're going to go over on max roll. Here on Max Roll, right, you have a new function, which is import function up here. So if you go on the maxroll.gg and in the last Epoch planner, right, you go save load, import, and here you can see all of my characters, right? Because you just type in Binashole, you will see all of my online characters. You just click on Poison Bug, and this is the character that I've used to play this build. So it is my current gear. It is my current passive, my current skills, and how I specialize into them. So yeah, we're missing some embeds here, but yeah. Don't take. Anyways, so here you see my skills and my specializations. So you can see all the progression that I do in my trees. So we're gonna go over this and how you can make your own Frostbite Swarmblade that perma-freezes bosses, perma-freezes pretty much anything. So the main thing to know about permanently freezing something is Ocearon. What is Ocearon? What does it do? Mainly, it gives you freeze rate per stack of chill. This is the most important part if you want to freeze monsters. There's two parts to freezing. There is base freeze rate, which is the base freeze rate of your skill, and you have freeze rate multiplier. This is exactly like base critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier. So what you want to do is have a skill that has a high base freeze rate. So right here we have a Serpent Strike, which we are increasing its freeze rate by 100 from its base. And then we're multiplying this by the freeze rate multiplier that we have in our stats. So that is going to make it so that you have if you have, like, for example, one Ocearon, this node for Cold Fang, and maybe like 2000 plus freeze rate multiplier, you should freeze a lot of things. There are other things you can get for base freeze rate, which is ceiling freeze rate on your helm or on your chest. As you can see, a tier 1 freeze rate, right? It's already 33%. So it's a very efficient seal, even at tier 1, compared to something else, maybe attunement. You get 1 attunement out of it. Well, freeze rate per stack of chill is a much better value in terms of tier 1 sealed affix, which is very easy to get, right? So let's go over what I use for gear, right? So on my helm, obviously you want to be as tanky as possible. We're always trying to scale health. So I have a health one here. I have the sealed freeze rate per stack of chill, which I just added here, which I don't have on my character. But yeah, if you can get this, it's very good to do so. Cooldown recovery speed, you can definitely get some benefits from cooldown recovery speed for your dash, for example, right? So your dive on your Swarmblade, it's your very short cooldown on your E that basically gives you a very short dash to be able to engage monsters. So you want increased damage over time while transform. Anything that would be anything that would increase your damage, and since you're scaling Frostbite, that would be cold damage, damage over time, elemental damage over time. On all of our gear, this is what we're going for. We're also going for attunement because there's a very, very good in the Swarmblade tree right here. You're getting 30% freeze rate multiplier per attunement, and that affects your penetration that you get via Snowdrift. So on any Frostbite build, Snowdrifts and Frostbite Shackles, not mandatory, but like pretty much the best in slot for any Frostbite build, just to scale your damage like crazy. And yeah, it's very, very good. Frostbite Shackles have a chance to apply Frostbite on hit, Frostbite duration, freeze rate multi, you got ward gain on freeze. This is another very nice thing that you can get on this build, is that since you get so much ward gain on freeze, anytime you engage a pack of monsters and you attack so fast with your melee attacks, and you freeze them, right? Pretty much every single attack, you will freeze them, especially monsters that have low health. So this, in combination with the ward retention per uncapped cold res, which you get by default at least 75, right? Because you're capping your resistances. Alongside something like this, ward gain on kill, I found that ward gain on kill is extremely good. You could even use something else here instead of if you just want to go for like to be really, really tanky, for example, right? You could go for a the dagger, what's it called? The Ghost Maker here. The Ghost Maker has 66 ward gain on kill. If you can manage to get this with like 1 or 2 LP and like slam in like melee attack speed and like poison on hit, this would be absolutely insane on this build. Since you have so much damage, like losing some damage out of your weapon, it does not matter too much. If you get 66 ward gain on kill for something like Arena, for something like mapping and monoliths, this just makes it really, really safe. All right, so yeah, so Snowdrift, Frostbite Shackles. On your weapons, you're trying to get melee attack speed, damage over time, cold damage, anything that will boost your Frostbite's damage. Chance to poison on hit. This is very nice because you are converting all of your poison chance from all source in Swarmblade form. It's converted to Frostbite, right? So all of your poison are converted to Frostbite, and all of your bleeds for Serpent Strike are converted to Frostbite as well. So because of those two things, essentially, Viper's Call, you're using the Serpent Strike tree when you are in Frostbite form, in Swarmblade form. So because you're using that tree, all of your melee attacks, all the bleed is converted to Frostbites, and all of your poison is converted to Frostbites. So that will apply to all the tornadoes that you proc in Swarmblade form. So you actually get, lots and lots of Frostbites applied. Losing a little bit here to go with something else, like I said with the Ghostmaker, would make sense. Anyways, the stats you're looking for is melee attack speed, damage over time, poison on hit, bleed on hit, stuff like that. Sealing a chance to apply frailty is really, really nice because, as we all know, frailty is very important. It's a damage mitigation layer. So we're just scaling stuff. On your chest piece, you need Swarmblade. You could use Swarmblade form. You could use plus level to tornado. Increased health is excellent. Again, sealing the tier 1 freeze rate per stack of chill would be nice on this. You're just basically looking to be as tanky as possible. And if you really want to push your tankiness to the next level, the prefix for minion armor and armor on Primalis is extremely powerful. Yeah, I could recommend that if you're trying for example to push Arena or something. On your belt, as always, chance to not chance but cleanse ailments on potion use, LA damage over time, hybrid health, increased health, just the regular stuff. You want to get maybe attunement or LA damage over time on your rings. Fix your resistances in any way you can. Freeze rate multiplier is also pretty cool. You could also get freeze rate. There's another affix on the belt that you can get. It's called freeze rate and freezing concoction. This is actually higher value than freeze rate just the freeze rate multi on your rings because it goes higher. So yeah, keep that in mind. On your relic, you want to go with stuff. I went with +3 to Serpent Strike. The main reason is, well, I actually ended up having this relic here, but needing the points to get the kill threshold here, as well as getting, you know, all of the points for the dodge here and for the cult penetration with Frostbite. So this actually helps me to get this, but it's really not needed, but it's just like a nice to have, right? On the idols, you want to go for stuff like this, like chance of poison on hit. On grand idols, you could I use poison res and physical res as suffixes here, since this is how I fitted in my resistances. You want to go for large idols with LE damage while transformed. Not elemental resistance while transformed. This is just a very, very good value for any primalist that uses transformations. It's just a very easy way to cap your LA res, and you can go for Throne of Ambition for a lot more damage against bosses. You could go for another setup that has more of these idols. Ideally, poison on hit is what you're gonna get like the most value out of. There's also another prefix here you can get for like it's damage over time while transform, I believe. Yeah, increase damage over time while transform. It goes up to 40%. So depending on your balance of stats, you could go for chance of poison or or damage over time while transformed. As for my blessings, I went with Void Res here. The freeze rate multiplier, as we said, it increases your damage with snowdrifts. You get grand taste of venom for the poison on hit, the frostbite on hit, and I went for the armor here. So yeah, let's go over all of our skills and how we built them. So Tornado is built in a way that usually on Lightning Bug, we go for the lightnings. On this build, we go mainly for the Trail of Storms with the Churning Orbs, right? So the Tornadoes will cast Storm Orb, which will benefit from all of the more multipliers from the Tornado tree, and the more multiplier, this 80% more multiplier from the Swarmblade tree. So you want to get these, you want to get this to go out as much as possible. So ideally, you would have at least a +1 in Tornado to be able to have 21 points and max like all of these more multipliers and also max this one out, right? If you have any more point, you could put them in more damage here and here, or you could put them in attack speed there. Since just like the lightning Swarmblade, you are scaling dodge with every attack that you do. So that is it for the Tornado. On Maelstrom, so since we're proccing Maelstrom on dive, right? We're gonna go for the haste and frenzy as always, and we're just getting more hits with these nodes here. We're getting some dodge per stack of Maelstrom and the duration. So regular Maelstrom tree, this is basically just buffs that you want to keep up while in Swarmblade form. Swarmblade form, again, one thing to note here is I'm using 3 points in there, health and rage gain on boss or rare hit. Since we are not using 100% crit chance, we have a much more difficult time sustaining your rage. So you will still kind of scale critical strike chance, but not to reach 100%. Just enough to have enough rage sustain. So we go with this node here, which makes your Armblade Slash use the Serpent Strike tree. We'll get the rage here. We get the more multiplier for our tornadoes and our tornadoes proc. And then we're going to go for here, right? The Frostbite stuff. So you want to go to this left side here. All of your poison chance convert to Frostbite, and you get the freeze rate multi per attunement. So if you want to permanently freeze bosses, this is where you want to pump out as much attunement and freeze rate multiplier as possible, alongside base freeze rate per stack of chill, which will increase your base freeze rate. So those two combined together will enable you to permanently freeze almost anything in the game. So and that will scale with your stats, right? Keep in mind it also scales with monsters' HP. So the more HP you give them, the less likely they are to be frozen. This node is just to cast Maelstrom on each dive, and then you could go for either attack speed or some poison chance, depending on what you want. If you want to freeze things more, maybe you want to go for attack speed. If you want to get more damage out of it, maybe poison chance, depending on what your stats are and what your gear is. So yeah, one or the other. In the Serpent Strike tree, as always, right? Frostbite, you want to go for the freeze rate. You want to go for the cold pen with Frostbite and Frostbite duration. This only applies by This only applies to the hits done by Serpent Strike. So it won't apply to the stuff to your tornadoes. So, you know, this is nice, but it's like not absolutely mandatory. Most of your damage comes from tornadoes, since that is where all of your more multipliers are. You go for the attack speed, bleed chance per maelstrom, and damage over time per maelstrom. As we know, this is converted to Frostbite. You want to get the dodge rating per 10% cold res, right? And then you want to get the kill threshold. Here, this is the node Slither that makes you scale dodge to another level. This is a 12% multiplicative with itself on every single attack that you do. And then we got Summon Spriggan, usual trusty Summon Spriggan. You want to go for the base crit chance and crit avoidance. This will increase your crit chance dramatically, making you able to sustain rage much more easily. And then just some tankiness for it, with some dodge rating per attunement as well. And since we're scaling attunement, like we get a bunch of dodge out of this one. So that is pretty much it for the skills on the passive here. I don't want to go like too in detail since this is just basically a build showcase. But we go for natural attunement points in here for lightning and cold res. We go for strength here. Wait, why did I go for strength there? Actually, you probably don't want to go for strength here. You want to go for the health here. You want to dual wield and increase health. On the druid mastery, you want to go for the endurance. I went for druidic prowess. Basically, I tried to like maximize all the attunement I could. Grab these nodes here to get increased cold damage and freeze rate multiplier, which will also scale your damage, right? Since it's frostbite damage. And with a 5-point bonus, you get 40% chance of frostbite. You go for this is basically just quality of life to not have any rage decay out of combat. Then you go with the attack speed because we scale everything with attack speed. This is just to get more companion health for, you know, just basic survivability for your companion, so he doesn't die every 2 seconds. You still do get 8 points into Rageborn to get the rage on crit. This is going to be your main sustain, your main way of sustaining alongside your equipment. So the Shiden Dagger has a 4% critical strike chance implicit, and you know, the Rust Blade does not. So I highly suggest using a Shiden Dagger at least for your main hand. Even just for the 4% increased base crit that it has. So that's gonna make you sustain your rage even more. Hide Skin for tankiness, Impervious for tankiness as always. The Beastmaster Tax, this is basically just to get access to Aspect of the Boar alongside the less damage taken from nearby enemies. So this is just damage reduction. And the 5 points needed to unlock Tornado in here, which also give us attunement and penetration. Keep in mind this penetration is not very valuable since we're getting so much penetration from our freeze rate multiplier. So that pretty much covers it, I think. One way that you want to play this as well is that you want to keep in mind that the enemies are going to take damage as you go by them, right? And they're going to keep ticking those damage. And that is one way to actually sustain your rage much better when you're doing monoliths, is you just, you know, do 1 or 2 attacks on a certain pack of monster and you just keep going. And then the monsters will die behind you and your rage will pop up. Because if you just keep spamming tornadoes all the time on top of like one single pack until he's dead, you might not sustain your rage very well. So that is it for the Frostbite Swarmblade. Just a build showcase, just to show you a little bit of what you could do. This is not optimized, obviously. It's still a work in progress, but if I have the build guide, it will be available on Maxroll, and I'll let all of you guys know with an official build guide video, which will go much deeper in details. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.